Now we're on to section 12.2. I've broken it down into sections A and B. Section 12.2a, surface area of prisms. Okay, we found the area of polygons. Now we're going to find what's called the lateral area and surface area of prisms. Okay, so here's our vocab. The bases are the two parallel and congruent faces. Okay, so here's my base here, here's my base here. Okay, it can also be drawn, for example, if I have a triangular prism like that, three-dimensional shape there, it's supposed to be three-dimensional. My bases are here and here. Even though they're not on the bottom, we still call them bases because they are two parallel and congruent faces. The lateral face is basically the sides of the shape. So faces that are not bases. We have lateral edges, which is part of the lateral face, base edges. Altitude would be the distance between the bases. So I'm going to write it right there. Distance between bases. Okay? And it's perpendicular, and then the height is the length of that altitude. Okay. The lateral area of a prism is the sum of the area of the lateral faces. Okay, so if we draw something like this, I don't know how good my drawing is going to be. Okay, but there's our prism, rectangular prism. Okay, the lateral area is going to be the area of the four rectangles. I'm not going to color all of them in; it get confusing there. Okay, but there's going to be four rectangles in this case. Okay, and then everybody here knows how to find the area of one rectangle, then we just multiply by 4. Of course, we do have a shortcut. It's right here. The lateral area is the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. Remember, we can also say height is distance between bases, even though the height might be going sideways. We'll show you an example here in a minute. Okay, so here we're without a picture, we're just finding the lateral area. So lateral area equals perimeter times height. Okay, octagonal prism is 8 inches. So all I do, is 6 inches. 8 sides times 6 inches equals the perimeter equals 48 inches. Height is 11. So to find that, we do 48 times 11. And, sorry, I didn't have my calculator ready. 48 times 11 equals, we would say the lateral area, I'm going to write on the bottom, equals 528 square inches. Okay, that's the lateral area. Okay, here's another one. Okay, a hexagon is 6 sides, 5 centimeters per side, equals 30. That's the perimeter. Height is 12. So 30 times 12 equals 360. In this case, it's square centimeters. All right, now we're going to go into surface area, and all we do is we take the lateral area and we add it to 2 times the area of the base. So every shape has a different formula for the base. Okay, and that's what we'll talk about next. Okay, so here's a great example, surface area of a prism. This is what messes people up all the time. Okay, our 2 bases are the triangles. Why? Because they're parallel and they're congruent. Even though they're not the top and bottom, we still call them the bases. Okay, so surface area equals perimeter times height plus 2 times the area of the base. Up here, I will put area of a triangle is 1/2 base height. Okay, so first of all, that also equals what we would say is capital B, which would be the area of the base. Okay, I am going to find that real quick, right up here, 1/2 times. Now, as I just look at the triangle, the height of the triangle is 3, and the base of the triangle, small b, is 4. 1/2 times 3 times 4 equals 6. So capital B equals 6. That's the area of my base. The perimeter is, and actually I'm going to fill in this number, the hypotenuse here is 5. I'm going to erase that. Okay, the hypotenuse is 5. So in order to find the perimeter, we actually need to count the perimeter of the triangle. So the perimeter of the triangle is those 3 numbers there, 5 plus 3 plus 4. And when I do that, 5 plus 3 plus 4, I get 12. So perimeter is 12. The height is 10. Why is it 10? It is the distance between the 2 bases. The height is not 3, the height is not 4, the height is 10. Distance between the 2 bases. Plus 2 times 6 equals 120, plus 12 equals 132 meters squared. That is the area of all the surfaces. Okay? Now we have the surface area of a prism. Many of you already know how to do this just by looking at this. But I'm just going to use our formula just to practice. Okay? What's the area of the base of this? Well, we can call our base, just to make it easy, this rectangle and this rectangle. So the area of the base, in this case, is length times width, which is 15 times 8, which is 120. Okay, so I found my base. Now I need to find my perimeter. My perimeter is 15 plus 8 plus 15 plus 8. Okay, all around here is the perimeter. We could call it the perimeter of the base if you want. So if I add all those up, I get 46. Height is 10. It is the distance between my 2 bases. So I'm going to put a little h here. So now I get the surface area equals 46 times 10 plus 2 times 120. And I get 460 plus 240 equals 700 inches squared, or square inches. Now, I just did it the long way. You guys all know the shortcut. Hopefully you do. Okay, the shortcut is, oh, never mind. I'm thinking volume. So that's how you're going to have to do it. Okay? You could also find the area of all the surfaces and the multiplying, but this is the best way. Okay. We just did an example like that. Okay? Here you can use your bases, can be the two squares, or your bases can be these two rectangles. Okay, but you got to decide what your bases are. Okay, because that'll determine your height. Okay, that is it for the surface area of prisms. Actually, one more thing here. If I am looking at this shape right here, the area of the base is 1/2 apothem times perimeter. So if it's a pentagon, hexagon shape like that, that's how you're going to find the area of the base. All right, we're going to go now into, I didn't even have to do that. We're now going to go into section 12.2b, surface area of cylinders. It's a very similar concept. Okay, we have our two bases, which are the circles, and we have the altitude, which is also the distance between the two bases, the height. It forms a 90-degree angle with the radius. Okay, here's how we find the surface area of a cylinder. The lateral area on the side is 2 pi RH. Okay, and then if you want to add the circles, you add 2 pi r squared. Okay, because the area of a circle is pi r squared, and I have two circles, so I multiply that by 2. 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared. Okay, we're going to find the lateral area. Lateral area equals 2 pi r h. If you notice here, 2 pi r, that's the circumference. So it's really, if you want to think about it this way, width times height, length times height. The length of a rectangle, if I rolled it up into a cylinder, it would be this formula. So the lateral area is 2 pi times 4 times 12. If I multiply all those numbers, I get 96 pi, which equals 96 times pi equals 301.59. It says also find the surface area. Well, the surface area, I'm going to erase that. Okay, the surface area equals 301.59 equals the lateral area plus 2 pi 4 squared. Okay, when I combine them, I get 301.59. If I multiply that all out in my calculator, plus 100.53, and I add those together, 301.59 plus 100.53 equals, oops, I typed in my calculator wrong. What you guys could do is pause it right now, calculate it yourself, check your answers with me. Would be a great use of your time. 402.12 centimeters squared. All right, same type of problem. I'm just going to set it up. I'm not going to multiply it out. Okay, but let's look here. 8 is actually the diameter. So I have to divide that by 2, and the radius is 4. Now I can plug it into my lateral area, 2 pi times 4 times the height, which is 20. Remember, the height is the distance between the two bases. Okay? And then my surface area will equal my lateral area plus 2 pi r squared. Plug in 4, calculate everything out. Plug in 4 for radius, and I will solve. Okay, same setup here. I'm not going to calculate these out, but remember when we look at these numbers here, we need to find the radius. In this case, the radius will equal 6 because I did 12 divided by 2. Over here, radius equals 2. Okay, the height here will equal 4 meters because it's the distance between the two bases. 12 is not the height, 12 is the diameter. Over here, the height is 1. And then I'm going to plug it into my equation again. Surface area equals 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. And you just plug in r and h there, calculate it out in your calculator, and find the right answer. Okay, now it says find the diameter of a base of a cylinder if the surface area is 464 pi and the height is 21. Okay, in other words, I have to solve for r. So 464 pi equals 2 pi r times 21 plus 2 pi r squared. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply this out. So this becomes 42 pi r plus 2 pi r squared. This is 464 pi. What's going to end up happening here is we're going to have to factor and complete the square and all that kind of stuff. I just want to make sure that you know how to set it up. If we need any more clarification, we can ask Mrs. Balke on that one, but that's how you would set that one up. Okay. Now it's asking what is the radius. Okay. So what we can see here is that this is the circumference. Because if I roll that into a tube, that would be the distance around the circle. 5 would be the height. Okay, so if circumference equals, we're going to go back to this equation and we're going to solve. So 12.6 equals 2 pi r, divide both sides by 2 pi, and 12.6 divided by 2 pi equals, it's going to be about 2 inches will be the radius. Once we take that rectangle and wrap it into a cylinder. Okay, that's it for 12.2. Make sure you ask questions if you have them.